Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Namaste everyone and welcome to this new series on the Bhagavad Gita. We are going to discuss the Bhagavad Gita for a long series of videos now because I have plenty of questions on these topics, especially on Karma Yoga, the nature of the detachment which you find in Bhagavad Gita, which is recommended for all of us, and then the nature of Bhakti Yoga, then the art of meditation according to the Bhagavad Gita, and a whole lot of other topics like Yajna, Swadharma. So since there is a lot of interest in all this, we have decided to make this series. And every video will give you some knowledge on some particular subject in the Bhagavad Gita. So initially this is an introductory video where I will introduce the Bhagavad Gita to you. What is the importance of the Bhagavad Gita? It is the very essence of the Upanishadic literature. This is the glory of the Bhagavad Gita. See, we consider the Upanishads to be the essence of the Vedas, and the essence of the Upanishads is the Bhagavad Gita. So this is very beautifully put in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopala nandana partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahat. Which means if you think that the Upanishads are like the cows which yield milk, then the milk which they yield is the Bhagavad Gita. And who is the milker of this? It is Lord Krishna himself, the Supreme Godhead. He is giving us this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And who is the drinker of this milk? Arjun and all of us who are interested in the Bhagavad Gita. You should remember the Bhagavad Gita are the words of the Lord himself, Lord, Sri Krishna himself. It is not Bhagavad Gita. It is not about the Lord. It is of the Lord. They are the words of the Lord. So they have potent, very great power. And that is why the Bhagavad Gita has inspired so many minds over the ages. Bhagavad Gita is very old, as you know, more than 5,000 years back. In fact, Indian scholars place it at 3139 BC. And it is part of the Mahabharata, the great epic. It is part of the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata, which constitutes the chapters 25 to 42. And it is the very essence of the Upanishads. You know, there is not a single thing in the Gita which is outside the context or not up to the mark, you can say. There's nothing else but the sheer glory of the 4 yogas and the goal of human life, how to attain it, the nature of bhakti, the nature of jnana, the nature of the human mind, how to transcend it, the art of meditation. It is full of all these wonderful topics. So whenever we talk of the Bhagavad Gita, you should remember it is like the Bible of the Hindus. And Hindus across any denomination will always revere the Bhagavad Gita. If you have not gone deep into the Bhagavad Gita, you have actually lost something in life, because it is the most profound book I have come across. Only speaking of yoga and bhakti and jnana and the words of the Lord on all these. So it is very inspiring, and although it is an ancient text, it is so very relevant to our times. It has inspired all the luminous minds of India. Gandhi, Vivekananda, Rajgopalachari, all of them were inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. And not just Indian minds, all over the world. Thinkers have showered their praises on the Bhagavad Gita, starting from the American transcendentalists like Emerson, Thoreau, so many of them, in fact, I can keep on naming, to the German romantics and to the English Orientals. The Gita was considered the real treasure of the human race. So there are very profound ideas here. To the extent we are able to draw, we will be benefited. please remember this, that Gita was the first book to be translated into English in 1785 by Sir Charles Wilkins and published by the then British East India Company. So the very first Governor General of India, Sir Warren Hastings, he was a Gita enthusiast. And it has transformed, the Bhagavad Gita has transformed so many minds. Emerson, Aldous Huxley, Thoreau, Jung, Carl Jung also was a great follower of the Gita. And of course, Gandhiji, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Vivekananda, all of them you find, that's why you find such wonderful commentaries on the Gita. And to what extent Gita can be applied to our practical life, this we can actually see in those commentaries. And you have the enormous Shankar Bhashya on the Bhagavad Gita. There are so many other commentators like Sridhar Swami, who his commentary also is masterly on the Bhagavad Gita. And it has been translated by a number of saints and sages over time. And today we have excellent translations of the Bhagavad Gita in English. So I would request you to just dive a little into this book to understand how relevant it is for our times. And the beauty is there is no exclusivism in the Gita. It is for the developed, the cultured human mind. And it harmonizes all the yogas. It speaks a scientific language. It is principle-oriented. And it shows us the highest goals of human life and the means to attain it. This harmony of the yogas is the unique characteristic of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's an all-inclusive, integrated philosophy of life. And Arjun represents the accomplished young person who's asking about the existential truths of life. So he's typical of the modern young man who's well-established, accomplished, and yet asks for the highest transcendental truths of life. So that makes Gita very, very relevant to the present age. Let us go into the initial first chapter a bit. You see the very first doubts which Arjuna has in his mind, the confusion created, you know very well, the backdrop of the Bhagavad Gita is the Mahabharata war. So during the war, Arjun suddenly realizes, not during the war, just before the war begins, Arjun suddenly realizes that it is his own kith and kin that he will be killing as a result of the war. So then he is not an overambitious person. Why at all should he want to kill his own in order to achieve these ends? And after all, for a kingdom? And that is when Sri Krishna, so he takes refuge in the Lord. Krishna is his charioteer. And he points out to him that no, you are not killing for personal reasons. See, when there is a man on the road, and if somebody kills that man, that is murder. But when there is a war, when a soldier kills another, the enemy soldier, it is considered dharma, it is considered a righteous act. He is even awarded for his bravery. So what makes the difference? The act is the same. The intention behind the act is different. So the intention, the will, the attitude makes all the difference. The action can be the same. But here, your intention, O Arjuna, is to bring righteousness into this world. And for that, whatever is required, you should do it. So it is a dharma yudh. It's a righteous war. It's a war to bring righteousness. So then your entire paradigm of duty changes. And you can kill your own, whom you consider your own, because, O Arjuna, the real nature of the human being is not just body or mind, it is the soul. And as a result, use this body and mind as an instrument of that soul force. And I have already accomplished, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, I have already accomplished all that you seek to accomplish. You just become the instrument in my hands. And remember that this war is to establish righteousness and peace in this country, and not for personal reasons. So don't allow personal emotions and attitudes to affect your action. Duty is far above emotion. And to the extent we are duty conscious, to that extent, we will be able to take the right decisions. So the message of the Gita is tremendous. And it applies to us even today. in so many ways. And to the extent we can internalize these thoughts, we will become stronger from within. The Gita has the power to transform our minds. And that is the power of the Gita which is available to us even today. Let us go into the Gita step by step. And I don't want to rush through because so many ideas are there. Such marvelous ideas are there. Each video will give you one important idea and we will discuss it, work around it and see how it can be made applicable to our lives. So in this introductory talk, let me just present to you the initial confusion of Arjuna and how valid it is. Nobody would like to kill their own, isn't it? Nobody will want to destroy. Arjuna was a very sensitive person and he would definitely not want to kill his own family just for the sake of a kingdom. But what is it that makes Krishna tell him that no, it is your duty at this point of time, because you must not think it is a war for personal reasons. It is the entire paradigm of the war is impersonal. It is meant to establish a particular, what is called Loka Sangraha in the Gita, to bring peace and good to the world. Because if people like Duryodhana reign, then only Adharma will reign. And that is why this war. So keep only the big picture in your view and don't think you are fighting for personal reasons on personal grounds. Remove that completely from you. And that is why the very second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is Sankhya Yoga. It is to do entirely with knowledge, with the real nature of man. That your own real nature, Krishna tells Arjuna, is the immortal soul. It is not body and mind. So body-based relationships, mind-based relationships are secondary for you. Just now it is only duty based on what is the righteous thing to be done. So you see, the beauty of the Gita is its setting. At that crucial moment when Arjuna has to play such a key role in the battle between righteousness and unrighteousness, he falls into this kind of a confusion and doubt, and the doubt is entirely cleared. And that is why the great message of the Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyevadhikaraste, you have only right to action. Well thought out, completely decided action, conscious action, deliberate action, and action with a purpose but unselfish action. Action is always purposeful, but it should be unselfish. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, and don't think of the consequences. Because the purpose of the action has been so noble, the intention has been so noble, the result will be good. You can only go into the action. You have right only towards the action and not to the fruit thereof. That is the message. So correctly we will try to digest this, what is being given to Arjun. It immediately brings to my mind, you see, the beauty of action, karma yoga. Nobody can live without action, actually speaking, either physical or mental. The nature of Prakriti is chanchal. It is always restless. It is moving. It is not stable. So there will be action of some kind or the other. Please note that even thoughts are mental actions. Feelings are mental actions. All of these belong to the realm of karma. And so with these, since you are functioning through a body-mind complex, with this equipment, how you can attain to yoga? Through karma, how you attain to yoga is karma yoga, the path of karma yoga. So this is the equipment we have. Now its nature is restless. Its nature is activity. So then how do I convert this action into a yoga? That is the whole point. Actions never matter. The intentions behind the action are the main thing which generates the karma phal. So if the intentions are noble, then it will generate a positive karma phal only. The result of the action will be good. This has been beautifully illustrated in a story which Vivekananda used to give us. It is there in Swamiji's Karma Yoga. It is the story of a young yogi who left all his family and everything and went to the forest in order to perform great austerity. And he did perform a lot of austerity and developed some yogic powers, due to which he could do certain things which an ordinary man could not do. Like, for example, once he saw a crow and a crane uh, fighting on a tree, and he looked at the crane, and it seems the crane just fell down. So he sort of burnt up the crane. Now, this was a special yogic power he had developed. He was disturbed. He was angry on the bird, and he just brought it down. So now he was very, very arrogant and very proud of himself. He thought, well, I have developed some special abilities. I am such a mighty yogi. Who can do what to me? So then he went out into the village to beg. And there he begged at a particular house. In those days, you see, long back, the only way these anchorites sustained themselves was through begging. And when he stood for bhiksha, the lady of the household, she came and told him, please wait. I am serving someone. I will come in a short time. And she went back. Her tired husband had returned home. So she washed his feet. She fed him. And then she came and gave food to this yogi. Now, this young yogi was already very full of pride. And he thought, how dare she make me wait? Doesn't she know how great a man I am? And, well, why did she make me wait? So this was going on in his mind when the lady suddenly told him, sir, please accept this food, but please remember, I am not that crane which you brought down. Now he thought, how did she know that I did that act? And then he asked her, mother, tell me, how did you get this knowledge? And at once she said, look, my son, that which you get through your yoga, I get the same by my service to my household, to my husband, to my children, to his parents, to my parents. I get the same thing. Then the yogi said, how do you get it, mother? Then she said, I will direct you to a butcher, a vyad, and he will give you knowledge of this. How through everyday action, without a sense of agentship, without selfishness, you can get the same powers of yoga which you have got through so many years of tapasya. And then she sends him to a butcher, just imagine. So all these were considered lowly professions. I told you, action can be of any kind, but the intention behind the action, the motive behind the action, that is all that is going to matter. So all these people succeeded in making their motive very spiritual, very selfless, and they attained the highest fruits of tapasya just through their everyday actions. So the lady sent this anchorite to a butcher, Vyad, and he taught the yogi further the great philosophy of Karma Yoga. So there is actually a book on that also called Bhagavad Gita. And the yogi was initially very, very disturbed. He thought, what can a butcher teach me? I have led such a glorious life, and the way I live and the way he lives, and what can he teach me? But that very butcher who sustained himself by selling meat, by tearing apart animals, he taught him the highest philosophy of life. He said, look, I do this as a form of service to society so that I may also serve my parents at home. This is the way I get money. But I do it in a completely selfless spirit. And that has given me the same knowledge which you are gaining through your yoga. So you see, then he gives out the message of the Bhagavad Gita, that action the result of any action is determined by the intention and motive behind the action. And actions don't matter that much. You may be doing the lowliest and the most menial of jobs, but it can purify you completely if your intention and motive is very pure. So this great philosophy of Karma Yoga has truly inspired great people in the world. If we can bring a little bit of this, try to do it and see in your life for one day, keeping the motive completely clear and pure, and performing any action as a worship of the Lord in the person whom you are serving. and you will see the effect of Karma Yoga on your mind. It is the best way to change the nature of the mind, to change our sanskars for the better, to modify our thoughts and emotions, to purify them, and to take us towards, to bring that utter clarity which the mind requires to get the highest knowledge. This is the direct way to do that. And if Karma Yoga is practiced over a few years, in fact, this is recommended in sadhana, then it results in an utterly pure mind, which will take you directly to God realization. So the magic of Karma Yoga, it is to be done, to be known. And this is the philosophy which you find in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the philosophy of Karma Yoga, that action itself done with a particular mindset can lead you to the highest. Nothing else is required. See, this lady in this story, she did not practice any austerity as such. She was not a great intellectual or a very learned woman. No, she was a simple housewife who knew how to serve, how to love. And selflessly she would do this. And she attained the highest through that. So, never consider any task to be small or big. It is the purity of the intention behind the task that alone matters. So, understanding this, we will enter into the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. I would like to end this video with one more important point. The Bhagavad Gita gives us another very important idea for the performance of Karma Yoga, and that is the idea of Yajna. We will have a whole video on what Yajna means. It actually means understanding the nature of life. Life is a single unity, expressing itself through various bodies and minds. Understanding the interconnectedness of life, and understanding that we are part and parcel of universal life. And hence it becomes our duty to renew life, to replenish whatever we draw from life, and to keep this cycle of Yajna going. The more you replenish, the more you rejuvenate life. The more you support life. And universal life will work for you. This is essentially the principle of Yajna. So, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in the course of his, in the Bhagavad Gita, that work in the spirit of Yajna, and that will become Karma Yoga. You are part and parcel of universal life. No man is an island, isn't it? How many people have worked to bring a single plate of food in front of you? And what have we done to repay them? Do we at least thank them mentally for all the energy, for bringing that in front of us? Everything in life, if you actually live in nature, this will become very clear to you. Everything in life supports everything else. It's a totally interconnected ecosystem, the entire planet. And if the trees were not giving us oxygen, we would not be breathing. Isn't it? So actually a part of us is in the tree. Life is like that. It is interconnected in every sense. So to the extent we acknowledge this and understand, I have to replenish what I draw from universal life, and hence Karma Yoga, action for others, should be natural. It is a way of life. It is not another philosophy. To the extent we understand this, we will elevate our lives towards the highest realization just through action. Because you see, philosophy is not translated into action. It doesn't mean anything if it is not part and parcel of our life. So this is the spirit behind the Bhagavad Gita. And I had thought of also giving you some shlokas when we make these discussions on the Bhagavad Gita, because you must hear the original Sanskrit. It is so beautiful, so melodious, and Sanskrit is such a rich language. So 1 or 2 shlokas I would like to present to you in every video so that you hear the actual words of the Lord. You see, this idea of Yajna, which I just now told you, the Sanskrit in the Bhagavad Gita is Yajnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Whenever you work with the spirit of Yajna, that action will not bind you. Because you know You are part and parcel of universal life, and you are only renewing, replenishing, rejuvenating life. That action will not bind you. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So giving up all silly attachments born only of body-based relationships, mukta sangha means that. Perform your action. Go ahead and perform your action. Don't hesitate. Don't have these doubts. Action itself has a huge source within you. And track that source, the source of your action. You are not acting, see, especially the advice to Arjuna is, you are not acting because that person is your uncle, that person is your grandfather, that is your guru. No. You are acting because they are on the enemy side and they are on the unrighteous side. That is why the war. So see it like that. See the big picture and don't tie it up to personal reasons, because the first person is not there. Your own real nature is only the self. Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter, goes directly to this knowledge. You are the self functioning through this body and mind. So body-based relationships should only be secondary in your life. Your duty is primary. Your intention is primary. Your motive, your value system is primary. And this should be above everything. This is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. So action itself will lead you to the highest knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. Nothing more purifying than knowledge, and action itself will lead you there. So stick to your swadharma and you will attain the highest. Here, let me also introduce to you what swadharma means here. Why is it that this word is used so commonly in the Bhagavad Gita? It means that particular role which you have assumed in society. In those days, it was also determined by guna karma and also by your birth. And that role which you have assumed according to your identifications, the duty of that role you must fulfill. Any particular role we play in society, it's dharma. If you honor it completely, if you play that role to perfection, if your actions are entirely based on that role, then that shows a completely integrated, righteous personality. That amounts to the most honest work you can do. So, according to your swadharma, stick to your swadharma, and swadharma is greatly self-determined. Please check this out and see. We incline towards particular roles, particular dharma in life, according to our inbuilt tendencies, according to our sanskars. So when you stick to that, in the workplace in a particular role, in the family in a particular role, with friends in a particular role, when you honor that, then you attain the highest through that itself. This is the message. See the shloka which I have put there. Please watch the slide. It is there in the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter. Sve sve karmanya bhirata samsiddhim labate naraha. Just through one's own duty, one's own work, one's swadharma, one attains the highest siddhi. And swakarmana nirata siddhim yatha vindati tachruna. How you get this? Please hear it. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. From where all pravritti arises, that source factor, prakriti, and that by which everything is pervaded, you can attain that highest. You can attain the knowledge of the Purusha through prakriti just by total commitment to your everyday duty. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. By worshipping him with your duties, siddhim vindati. You attain the highest siddhi. So Karma Yoga is a tremendous path. It is a way to convert your everyday action into a direct means towards the highest realization. It can be known if you acutely follow the method. So this is the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita which I wanted to give you. We will proceed further in the next video. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.